Hello guys, I hope you guys are there as we start the live today. I see you, Cindy. Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me look for a nice filter for this.
Let me.
Yeah,
I think I might use my earphones and see if. And now?
you can hear better.
Yeah, but from can't hear you very well. And now?
Mi nakusikia vizuri.
I think me just sikusikia vizuri, but now should be fine. And now? Unanisikia? Hello? Oh yeah, I can hear you. I can see there are a few people here already. How are you? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, no, I think I'll use the earphones so I can hear you well.
Oh, okay. Niko sawa, wewe?
I don't know. You're getting lost kidogo. Yeah, welcome everyone. I can see there are a few people there. I hope. Yeah, if you can hear us, just give us a thumbs up. Hopefully, can see. Dama, can you hear us? Napo Dama, can see Tony. All right. I hope you guys can hear me and Cindy well as we start. Okay. Vereso, maybe if you can hear, unaweza imba kidogo ndio tukusikie vizuri.
Ati kuimba. Wewe utatupatia poem. Are you going to present for us a poem?
I can read.
I
Yeah.
really hope
So,
unatusikia vizuri because here, I don't know, sometimes
yeah. Can see Mose, kama unatusikia bu.
it's like the way it is. But kama unanisikia ni poa.
Yeah, I can hear you, but yeah. So, yeah, so welcome to this live because I know there are some people from Kenya, wengine from New Zealand, so we'll try and keep it English.
So they are saying they can't hear me, so let me put my earphones. Now?
Yes, now I think that now it's
Better?
completely. Yeah, I think no wonder I wasn't hearing you well.
Okay, sawa. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
okay.
now it's
I'm
clear.
good. We've just Oh, okay. We've just had the president give a decree that we are now
Hmm.
going under lockdown again. So
So
from
what
tomorrow,
kind
you
of
should be
lock?
home at 8 p.m. Mm, yeah, from
Uh,
tomorrow, 8 p.m. It's just like last time. Yeah, so it feels weird. It's like we're doing the exact same thing we did last year around this very same time, around
same
March,
time.
mid-March. So it's pretty freaky. Yeah. And you
Oh.
guys, you're just free. Now you guys are in happy land.
Yeah, so that sometimes I think if you live in New Zealand, you can even forget that kuna corona. Yeah, but maybe the
Yeah.
only difference is people cannot travel coming in, or you can travel going out, but coming in,
Mm.
you have to book your own quarantine or isolation something, and it's quite like 3,000 or something. So mm,
Me, I'm so sad. But
I keep,
anyway, yeah.
we really our goes out to you guys because for us, I remember last year we had lockdown for two months, I would say. Then after yeah, after 2 months, somehow we kept on coming to. We are
Eric,
sorry
just hearing
for,
how easy you guys are having it just is making me annoyed. As you're having the third wave, people are dying. Now the symptoms
yeah,
are
I've
being
seen.
presented differently, so it's more scary because people are not actually having very obvious signs. So it's like later on, you're like, oh, wait, that was COVID. I had a fever or I was fatigued. So people have to be more careful. So, now here in Kenya, everywhere you go, there's that like temperature gun, but it's so useless now. It's like,
It's
because
not
you can't
helping.
tell. Yeah, because some people don't have fevers. So who is it helping? Some people who
Oh,
are positive don't have fevers. So anyway, but I mean, honestly, Mark, nowadays I'm just like, are we living? We're actually in a pandemic. It still feels strange. A year later, I'm like, yeah, it not happen. Anyway,
but how are people coping, or how are people planning to cope? Because now it's been 1 year. I'm wondering. It's like people living in how do I say? People are living in a state of fear or anxiety, and it's been prolonged for now more than a year. I don't know.
I think Kenyans are afraid. Afraid of what?
I thought people would be more careful not to. Well, but
I
no,
think we've gone through so many problems. Sorry, Andrea.
no. I think maybe it's called like maybe fatigue, compassion fatigue, where you've worried until now you can't worry anymore. If it finds it, it finds. If it doesn't, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I think it may affect watu. What do I say? Inani affects. That's what tunasemanga huku. Sasa, because I mean, people's lives have changed, income streams have reduced, there's uncertainty with literally everything, cost of living is higher, and yet you're earning less. I mean, it's really changed everything upside down. And then to cap everything off, our politics is literally like a soap opera. It's just entertaining. It's a movie because you can't believe the decisions that are being made. So I think all those things coupled together, seeing loopholes in the system, um, Africans are social. We meet a lot, Mark. Now this is the time. Last year is when we realized it. We meet together just for. Oh, you just say, "Hi, where are you?" They come. Okay, somebody's in your house. They're like three people. They hadn't planned. We are always in church together. Even when we're not in church, we're just hanging around church or not
Somewhere,
church. Um, when people's Rora shows, weddings, parties, just going to hang out and just sit and just eat. We love meeting up. So to have that removed, it's so weird. And then I think for a while people were okay with it, but then we are very social. It's so ingrained in us that we have to meet for things. So it's hard to tell people that, oh, we somebody has died and no, you can't come for the funeral. What do you mean? I cannot come and cry with you.
but Yes, you shouldn't because of Corona.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so it's been difficult to have that in our system. You know, I mean, just all the social gatherings removed, meeting all the necessary. Because now for us, it's not that your very close friends who you meet. As everybody's necessary. Okay, everything,
Yeah,
every gathering is
is
an essential
important.
gathering. So yeah, but anyway, I think
Yeah,
that's what it is. Me, what I love about Kenyans, though, we are President akisema tunatii because we know how serious things are getting, especially with this third
yeah.
wave. So at least on that end of things, people are like, okay, we have to save each other's lives. So naona kama gigs are being cancelled, um, and postponed rather. Even mine was. Feels so terrible, but it's necessary, you know, for safety, for sure.
Mm. No, so even as now we talk about music and even for you as a musician, because I've seen in Kenya, the president gave 100 million, was it last year? So how does that work for musicians, artists, or the actors, actress, and everyone who is there?
You started with a loaded question. Why?
Just on a general sense.
Yes.
So did you get any money from the government?
Zero. And
Mm,
worst is, I don't know anybody who got. So either my circle is really small or really
mhm.
that 100 million was a hoax. So I think there's a lot that can be debated on that. So for sure, I won't say that I know exactly where it went and what the process was. That one I'll have to do more research,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think for me, on a personal level, what hurt me is, especially during that time, the thing that should have been the focus was particularly getting PPEs for medics and things like those. So now he made it sound like they were doing.
You hung a bit. And you've hung a bit. I think Cindy is hung a bit. Wait for him. Hey, can you hear me now? All right. Thanks, guys. I think Cindy is hung a bit. Thanks, guys, for joining. I can see Dos, I see you. Lily, as we wait for Cindy to join us. Dos, how are you? Yeah, just want to give Derenda Simba Mose, can see you. Isabella Wanjiko. Leon, Cindy, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, I don't know what happened, honestly. Anyway,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, but
So based on your question about the 100 million, I think what I felt bad personally about was the fact that we we already have a system that hasn't paid artists for long. That's MCSK, which is our royalty system. So when you say you owe us
yeah.
giving us 100 shillings, but honestly felt like that, 100 million, you're not doing us the favor. What we need is for that system to be fixed so that we can get what is rightfully ours from our intellectual property. So you can't give 100 million and then think you've done us the favor. The system is not working. So it just felt honestly insulting. Yeah, and then more so the fact that I
Mm.
don't know anyone who's got it. So yeah,
May,
that's what happened to our 100 million shillings. It was a lie, or went to other
but
people who I don't know.
but maybe I guess like you're saying, it's if the system was already working, even when COVID comes, the system just pays the artist royalties and what that means. So it's you're not changing anything really. Even if you boost money, you just put it in the system, then whoever was getting still keeps. Oh, all right. So a
Yeah,
question
for
for you
sure.
as we continue. When does someone call themselves a musician? When can I say, hey, Mark, now I'm a musician?
I love your questions. I don't know. I honestly don't know when you can call yourself a musician because Mark, the people who I'm like, are have you ideally it should be where you've honed your craft and you feel like you're in a place where you can, say you only say you're a lawyer after you've gone through law school, become an
Mm,
advocate, things like those. So ideally for music, it should be you should be a musician when you've honed your craft. But I
mhm,
mean, that's relative because different people have relative measures of what what their artistry is and what honing their craft is. So, sijui. Yeah. For me, I only recently, I think, started using it. I'd never say that. I said I just like to sing. That's what I'd say. But musician to me is
mhm,
like somebody who's super skilled, knows their instrument, whether it's your voice, whether it's your guitar, whether it's your orutu, whether it's your nyatiti, really well, But yeah, so sijui.
mm.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
someone had asked me to ask you, what's the process or how confident should someone be for them to be an artist or a musician, for lack of a better word, in the sense, the vulnerability of, is it the vulnerability or the confidence of saying, I feel I have a good voice. I feel I have the talent to write music, to go to a producer, produce a music, and also it's confidence to vulnerability of putting the music out and trusting that you may get good reviews or something. I don't know. Ask you in terms how you process that in terms of writing, trusting your instinct, producer, putting the music to the world.
Um, You have very good questions, Mark. I am going to return them back to you about even you as a content creator now. And I'm going to just give these questions back to you, even as a poet, haha, as a possible book author. I'm gonna at you back all these questions. But I I
Mhm.
I find that thing about confidence tricky because people, when they see me, saw me on stage being all that and extra, but they don't understand the mind behind it. I actually don't think I'm confident. I think and I have an issue
Mhm.
with that idea of confidence that I wake up and I'm just like, I am amazing, I am great. I don't ideally I have, I think, more self doubt. If people really understood my brain, they'll be like, Cindy, I think you need to believe in yourself a bit more because there's self doubt that and imposter syndrome that I think most people who even we look up to suffer from is just, it's immense. So the idea of confidence, I think, is really a hoax. What I think I'm good at is lying to myself. Okay. So what I do is I tell
What?
myself for momentary moments that are very significant. Yeah. I'm very good at saying, you know what, you're not the greatest, you're not the best singer, you're not the best musician, but you know what? Go ahead and do it. So despite my fear, I go against my natural feeling at that moment. So I'm good at tricking myself in that momentary state. I'm good at telling the number of times I've literally been on the steps before going on stage and I'm just like, I actually don't want to be on stage. I don't want to be, I'm shaking. My mind is not working. But in that moment, I tell myself, I'll go hapa anyway. You're already here.
Just
Just do
mhm.
it. I mean, have a good time. So in that like moment, I'm able to trick myself and tell myself, this is a great decision. The truth is, I regret it a lot of times because I sit back and say, I didn't do what right. I didn't sing well. I made this noise, mistakes and stuff like that. But other people didn't see that. In that moment, I was able to communicate. So that I don't say I'm confident. That's not a word I'll use to term my, like, to describe myself, because people don't understand the kind of self battle that many people, I think, in creatives, whatever aspect, go through. What I can say is I
Yeah.
have great friends who actually think I'm cool, and that is amazing because I honestly ride on their minds. For example, very current one, my or not very current, like before I was doing this previous project from the singles that I had released. I'd not done music in a I'd not particularly released music in a while. So I was in self-doubt mode. Um I was like, it's been too long. I've not been on social media. Is my voice as it used to be? Also, that's another thing. Most creatives I know don't even like their own singing voice, most vocalists, and I'm one of them. Some people do, I don't. Most times I'm like, I sound terrible. So I honestly don't know how you guys listen. And this is not a, oh, yo, so one that where I have low self esteem, or it's just, I think, as Doss has written here, there's that criticism of my idea of perfection.
Yeah,
And because I
self-criticism.
would never
Yeah.
attain it, yeah, because I'll never attain it, I always feel like I'm not it, which is very annoying. But also it's great because it motivates you to be better. But anyway, so I was having a whole meltdown. I'd organized the whole recording process, and I was calling the producer and
Yeah.
organizing things, but I was having a whole freak out moment. And then I called my friend, I told her, am I making the wrong decision? In fact, it's Lavina. So I called Lavina, I told her, Lavina, I'm making the wrong decision. I'm wasting my money. Nobody's gonna listen. Do I even sound good? Those songs are not even great. I was like, I was melted. This is before recording, you know. And she was just like,
Yeah.
okay, Cindy, first of all, calm down. Okay, you're being extra here. Uh-huh. And but she told me this, which I love, and that's what I love about my friends because they are amazing, was that it's not even about all these things and you being perfect. She said there's something that's on your heart, and now this is where we get sentimental, and that's what I think carries me. Is like there's something on your heart, honestly, that God has put on your heart. You could have invested your money elsewhere, but you're choosing to do this because you feel like it's a calling. So I would say number one, that album was an act of obedience, because if I was to use my money, I would have bought a plot. I would have done other things.
Mm.
But it was an act of obedience because I felt like God was telling me, you need to do this. Number two is the fact that she told me, I know you. 30 years from now, you'll be still complaining to me how you didn't do that project. So please do it right now. Because
Oh, yeah.
as a creative, you've not released for a long time. And for you to move to the next project or the next creative process, you need to go through this one. That's the thing with creatives. We need to
And
have an
put it out.
outlet in whatever capacity. And for me, that time was, yeah, for me, that time it was recording. Yeah. So I hope I've answered your question in many words, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe connected to it. So for you, I don't know, because it's different whether you are doing poetry, music, writing a play, or writing a movie. That I don't know. Do you have a process in terms of I feel inspired, let me write, or you have a consistent place you go to and say I have to write or I need to write? How do you process that, or do you have any ideas, or it just whenever it happens, it happens?
I would like to say that I have a process, but I don't. I am the most I think I'm such a indisciplined creative. I would like to get to that place where I'm not waiting for inspiration, but really just constantly creating. But I'd be like, no, I don't have a process. Sometimes it's the lyrics that come first. In this last project, with Mwangi, it was fun. I called Mwangi and I told him, Mwangi, I've been singing these melodies in the toilet for the past, I don't know how many months. So like now for Kesho Kesho, it was bum ba pa. That's all I'll do. I told him
Very
play.
good. Oh
So we
yeah.
spent a whole night him playing the same thing over and over again. And then I'd say, and add this, and add this, and add this, and add this. And then the next time he came and asked me, are there lyrics? I was just like, no. And the next time, are there lyrics? No. And then eventually I came up with some over time. So yeah, there's no I think format that I have. But one thing I think I create best when I what do you say? when I'm in isolation. Other people create best with other people. I
Yeah.
create best in the middle of the night when nobody's hearing me, when there's no criticism. I'm not wondering about what somebody thinks, if it makes sense or if it doesn't. But in isolation, when I'm alone, is when I am like, yes, let's get things going. Yeah.
Mm.
For you, what's the process as a poet?
Do I have a, I think I write, I don't even have a process, I would say. I think don't have a process. I have moments where I feel I'm in a space, so I need to write. I just write whatever I need to write. So it's just moments. I have moments where I feel I need to write, and if I don't write, then I feel like there is something pulling me. So if I write, then I feel a bit freer in that
Mm,
sense. But for you as a
mm.
musician, the question I wanted to ask: so how do you, or what could someone do in terms of being the, not the confidence is not the word, being able to trust yourself to do what you feel you've been called? Because the question I would ask you, why music? Why not dance? Is it that you're talented in it, or is it that there is something else pulling you to that space?
Sorry, Tibu, ask it again. Yeah.
Yeah, so the simple question is, um, why music for you? Why do music? Is that what is pushing you or pulling you to that space?
I'd say number one is I can't pretend like I just woke up out of the sun dropped and I was singing. I mean, I was born in particular conditions with particular people around me. So those are my influences. The fact that my
Mm,
parents were in a worship team, the fact that music was the artistic medium that was in my life then is what influenced me. So I think I found it easy to express myself musically more than any other way because that is what I saw, that's what I had around me. So I think that's how
mm,
it was brought about. And then my first time to sing, I think, in front of an like a solo as a soloist, because I played piano from the time I was a child, but like now singing when I was in class 5. I was 10 years old, and I presented in front of the class a song by Rachel Lampa, and everyone was like, "Wow, you sing so nicely!" And I was just like, oh, "I do," because in your home, everyone will applaud you because I mean, it's your mom. What else can she say? She has to say you're amazing. Your aunties have to say you're
mm.
amazing. That's their duty. So when other people validated me in that sense, I was just like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'm not too bad. Maybe I'm not hearing things in my own brain." And what people don't know is am quite the introvert. Actually, I think people who live with me are the ones who understand. I am very quiet. I
Mm.
can be literally in my own space for days. Or and when I was younger, I was even more quiet. So I think the only way I could express myself, I think, as fully was through music in that time in my life. And so that grew to be one of the ways in which I can tell you how I feel
It's
as
through music.
probably as accurately as I possibly can was through music. Yeah. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
over the years now you hone it. My mom got me a keyboard, things like those. So it's just, yeah, so it became it. But you never know also at the end of the day. I think nowadays things are evolving so much. So I like had my first dance class the other day, and I'm like, oh, this is so liberating. So you never know,
What sort of
ma. Maybe you'll
dance?
just find me here kneeling as a dancer one day. It's called it's very expressive dance, so
Oh,
ecstatic dance. And yeah, so I'd done I'd done Kizomba for a while. Now, but because of
yeah.
Corona, it's so hard to do
Yeah,
Kizomba
you
because they're
can't.
in each other's faces. So I'm not doing that anymore. So I was just like, I've always wanted to do like contemporary dance because there are things I feel like, even though the melodies and harmonies could express it, they could be brought out more by movement. Because I think music and movement always go together. So I was just like, I want to learn that one more. So yeah, soon, if
Yeah.
I ever share it with you guys, though I doubt it, I
I
might
think
be like, I might
Dos has
share
a
my
question
ecstatic
for you.
dancing one time.
Dos is asking you, long term as an artist, what do you envision, especially with the pandemic? Or do you think you'll make a living in a
Wait,
macro?
you
Let
guys
me
have
ask you.
loaded questions. What?
Well, let me, because you've interacted with a few musicians on a macro. Let me say the macro. Generally, how many musicians are there in Kenya? Just on a just a random guess, but also out of those, how many of them are making a living being musician?
I'm really terrible with estimation, so I'll say we are millions of us. But and in that million, the 0.000 something percentage are making a sustainable living from only
Yeah,
being musicians. So I'm not going to like sugarcoat this thing. It's like based. I'm trying to put you and Doss's question together. Ideally, in general, even before the pandemic, being a musician alone is difficult. So that's why you see a lot of these things where I'm a musician, but I'm a TV host, but I'm a radio host, but so they
yeah.
diversify into other areas based on their persona, but not really just being a musician alone. Okay, so you would hardly find somebody who says all I do is music and that's it. And if they're only doing music, it's like I'm a session music. I'm in a band and we play in different clubs every night.
Oh yeah, so it's
Or
more.
I play bass for different people. I teach music, so people you wouldn't say actually my only work is to perform. That's it. No, a performing artist, not that alone. So that was already difficult before the pandemic. Now, with the pandemic,
Mhm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to make it sound cute. We are in trouble because now the little that was um, helping people remain sustainable literally has been chopped or cut off completely. So it left many people in limbo. And I'm going to try and then explain it this way. Let's
Mhm.
say, for example, Bereso is not a Willie Paul. Okay. So I'm not getting big royalties from YouTube from millions and millions of YouTube videos. Okay. So already that's a revenue source that's yet to grow. Okay. Then I'm
Yeah.
not getting any royalties from my music being played on radio by MCSK. That's already an issue in itself. And then most radios are now playing South African music, West African music. So already Kenyans are there struggling, fighting bongo guys and
Yeah.
Afro. So already there's that. Then the other thing is, so what will the rest do? I'll do gigs, okay? We'll have this thing and we build ourselves, and that's why we love Sauti Soul because Sauti Soul were the alternative artists for us, and now they've made it. We're like, wow, it's possible.
Mm.
So everyone is like, we are going to aspire. But in the process of this aspiring, many of you looking out for this small market, which is in this quote unquote idea Nairobi. I'm not here, Mike Waroas, who has his audience here for like his Kikuyu guys and are doing
Kikuyu,
bomb
say.
things in River Road and doing amazing things there. So them they're also getting their music that side. I'm not Masi Masika, who'll be on radio host, or when I release one song, it has thousands of views. It's different. It's a different ballgame. So gigs. Now, gigs are cut off because of the pandemic. You're just left there looking around like, oh, wow. Okay, so what next? The other thing is people are like, what about Skiza tunes? What about all these things? But the amount of royalties you get from it are so tiny. For example, I will get the statistics right one day and maybe post them one of these days. But if you find like, let's say, Masi Masika getting millions from Skiza tunes from her Safaricom, just to know that she was having many tens of millions of people listening who bought that Skiza
Oh, yeah.
tune. Yes. So the margin is like, by the time you're getting that
So,
kidogo money. So, I mean, right now, let's say it looks bleak. That's just to be honest. In terms of literally only earning from your music. So, a lot of musicians today are diversifying. That's why you start your thing and then you become a farmer. You have tomatoes you're growing, you're a radio host, you have a podcast. So a lot of musicians now are extra content creators on the other end. Now you're forced to be funny. I have to be funny on my YouTube. No, I have to start my YouTube channel, but I have to start a podcast. Okay, maybe I'm also going to TikTok. I'm gonna be funny on TikTok. Okay. Which one will work? So you're doing all, like this and this and this one, because now you can't have one income stream, you have to diversify it, because quote unquote, this is the royalties that are coming are really meager. Even YouTube, it's hard to break through, and all
Yeah.
these other spaces because the main one has been removed. So yeah, I don't know if it's answered, but yeah, it's not
Yeah,
cute.
yeah,
It is what it is. Yeah.
yeah. So, when do you think was or has been your most, I don't know, exciting time as a musician? Is it when you first released your first, or rather recorded your first song, or is it when you performed in front of a particular crowd, or when has been a time in your music career where you're like, I know this and I was called to do this? Do you have a moment or time?
Um, I love these questions, Mark. Oh wow. Next time I'm
You know,
interviewing
there's
you,
a
and I'm
time,
okay. That's so good. There's a time.
there's a time maybe like for me, maybe I've done hang out with the youth. Maybe I did a sermon or a speech to them, and there are times I go home and I'm like, that it went through into their spirit. There was a connection, and I've had a film, of course. The other times you just go home and you're like, okay, yeah. So do you have a moment like that?
Um, I'd say I don't say a moment, maybe a number of moments. One
Mm.
thing I struggle with is being present. I'm working on it. I try nowadays. I think the pandemic forced me. So honestly, when I look back at a lot of the things I've done as a musician or as a creative or anything on stage, do you know, to me it's a blur. It's so weird. Like I was not there. Like I look at it like I'm the third person. I'm like, do people experience this? Because I'm like, it's like I was there, but when I look at it, it's like I was not like present. So they say
There.
I should practice mindfulness and things like this. So I have struggled with that, but there are momentary moments, and this is what most of them look like. I'm on stage, and then everything goes slow motion, like for a split second. It's like
Mhm.
everything is slow motion, and then it's like I have a moment to take in. So, um, yeah, I've had a number of those. Unfortunately, I wish there were more. I wish I was present through most of the show and
Oh,
not just like two moments. Um, yeah, so like it's like you stand and you look, and everyone is singing back to you what you're singing to them. Not even my lyrics per se all the time, because also I'm a worship leader, but like there are moments they're singing it back and you can see them believe it. So I know I'll sound like a bit creepy, but there's literally a wavelength that happens. I can feel like I can hear sonic wavelengths moving. So that's what it looks like to me. And everything is in harmony. The music, the instruments are in time. There is, it sounds so creepy because I know I just sound like not like chakra people, but like it really is. Like the energies are syncing.
connect. I was
So
thinking, I know
yeah,
what you mean. I know what you mean.
yeah, and I
And
won't lie, those
it's
are
like
the moments I die for. It's like you cry. Yeah, yeah. I
I
think having a similar experience. We are present. It's just so, honestly, it's heavenly. So for me, it always feels like we're in heaven and we're finally the perfect bride, even just to Jesus, finally singing holy, holy. We're finally bowing up. We're finally one, without dramas, issues in it. So for me, those moments are such a reflection of the idea or my idea of what eternity should be. And then also the fact that I just love the fact that my art doesn't only exist on this side of eternity, it actually exists on the other end. So me, I'm like, food and music on the other end, we are good to go. Me, I love heaven then. Yeah. If we have food and music,
Yeah.
so that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this I'll ask was I think a few people will watch from New Zealand, and New Zealand is, of course, a Western world. So, because one of the things that is interesting, thing that is interesting, it's within where I live. I live in Nelson City, which is, so I try look, of course, because I look at Kenya, the creative platform, it doesn't pay as much in terms of course, but the number of YouTubers I see, dance groups, artists coming up, whether it's from Gengeton to the big ones, it's quite large. So what is it about, I would say, Kenya and Africa generally, that is this, I don't know, I feel like there is a boost, or there is an awakening of creative in different spaces around.
So the question is, why do I think there's that?
Yeah, there's that, or do you think it's always been there, or it's just been just the same?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think that it's always been there. We've never had an audience to express it in the different forms. So I think now you
Yeah,
have Instagram, you have TikTok, so I per se don't need to hold a gig to have an audience. Me and my 100
yeah.
followers are enough audience. So I think it's given when people who had the fear that maybe I cannot be an artist, or I cannot express myself because I won't have a gig and have 500 people. It gave them the confidence to come out. So we are seeing a lot of people being more confident with coming out with their content because they per se don't need a physical audience. They're doing it the other way around. I'm building my virtual audience, and then one day I'll have a physical audience. Instead of I have a physical audience, that's why I'm releasing things virtually. It's now the other way around, which is really cool. So I think people are just like, I can do this thing. I can check my funny memes and only my friends laugh, but they'll send to another friend and send to another friend. Oh, wait, Kumbi are funny. I didn't know it was funny. So you remove another one. And then, so I honestly love it. I love this continent. I love how young people are fighting to represent the times and are not afraid to do so. Because me, I believe, like, as artists, it's our work to represent the times, to be like us Isaka who understand our times and to represent them, as well as influence them to some certain capacity, because they'll look through generations and they'll understand what this pandemic felt, because there's been so much content that has been released during.
So much.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, mark me, I'm like, how does a president release a decree in midday and by like 30 minutes later, they're already memes? I'm like, wow, people are fast. People are so fast, and it shows that. Okay, sorry, I'm saying there's a lot that people have
Mm.
to say, but felt gagged before. Because our parents' generation was very, we follow, we do what has been said, what we are allowed to do. Now we have the freedom to do so. I can actually give my opinion, and it's hard. And it actually makes sense. And I don't have to be an expert in the university for my opinion to be heard. You know what? I don't have to have a PhD. So here it is, and it's valid, and it's sound, and it's good. So yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so I had a question that escaped me. So, in terms of musically, who do you look up to? It may not be look up to be like them, but just when you listen to them, there's just a musicality that they have that you're like, wow, this is someone I wish I could even do a collab
I
with,
could be
or
like, the answer is no one.
what? But locally, in terms of either in Kenya or in the world, someone that sings and
No
you're like,
one.
enyewe hapa. No, and
Because
even
I appreciate so many types of arts, Mark. Like I appreciate so many different types of expression. I don't have
yeah,
any favorite or one that even stands out. I can name a gazillion black women that are doing right now with their music. I mean, when you're talking about here in Nairobi, there's Labdi with Haurutu, there's Sero, there's Wendy K, there's Emma Cheruto, there's Sage. There's just so much.
yes,
Akina Karun. I mean, there's Kamatu, there's Nechesa, there's Lisa Noah. As in, that's just Nairobi.
wow,
Not even we've gone out of town. And they are
yeah,
removing quality content. Some are even producing their own music. There's Nabalayo. So I mean, there's there are so many creatives, and I genuinely love what they're doing. And that's just women here in Nairobi, and I'm not mentioned everybody. Internationally, there's Shingai, there's Fatumata, there's Maya Andrade, there's Asha. I mean, there's just I Mark. That's the beauty of the internet. And me, I'm those people who, if people ask me what's my favorite music, I'm like, my friend. I have to
everything
write.
that sounds,
So there's a lot because right now, as I was saying, because of the freedom of expression, there's an awakening of blackness, of Afrocentrism, of womanism, if you can put it that way. So there are so many beautiful ways people are telling their story from their own perspective, from guys who've lived in diaspora and are African, from guys who are still here, from people who listen more to R&B, more others who are reggae. I mean, Akina Kathy Matete, who are doing amazing in reggae music. So, I mean, it's just so broad. There are others who are doing beautiful Christian music, Akina Karuru Alora, for sure, Akina Kambua who went ahead of us. And these are young, this is like the younger generation. I won't even talk about the ones who are ahead of us. So, watu wako wengi, people are so many, yeah. And I'm a lover of any artistic form. That's only music. That's not even going into acting with Akina Foi Wamboi. Yeah, we are many.
and yeah. Just a quick one. This should be. What do you wish people who are not musicians? What do you wish people knew about musicians? And I'm asking this. I don't know if you can tie it with mental health and musician. What do you wish
Mm.
other people knew about musician, especially from point of creating and performance, and also just what it means in terms of mental health and an artist or a creative person?
That musicians they struggle. I think we fake it because where there's this idea that if you're on social platforms or social media and we are smiling that we are okay. And it's our fault that we've also put out that facade as well. So we take responsibility for that. But yeah, people are struggling. I think in that sense. But what I love about musicians is their fight to try to, even though I'm going through what you're going through per se, I'm going to try to fight hard to express what you're expressing. And that's my duty. That in this process, even let's say, even you as you're going through depression, even I'm going through depression, that I'll try and explain what, so that I can also help you, even though even as myself, I'm trying to, I'm trying to express what you're also going through.
Oh,
Oh, it has just disappeared.
you hang up a bit. Can see a few people here.
Hello.
Hello. Ulkom, you're the,
Sorry, I
sorry,
don't
we
know where it
couldn't hear
cut
you.
off.
Yeah. Mm.
Sorry, I don't even know where it cut off. Where did it end?
Yeah, it was just what you're saying in terms of musician, at least they try express what they feel, either if they're struggling with mental health or something, they try to put it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I'd say which hit me the other day, I think somebody posed a question where people judging Justin Bieber because he declared he's a Christian, and then now he's there putting out songs like Peaches. And as
Mm.
a Christian, you should do this. Christians are now pointing fingers, like, are just waiting to point fingers.
Yeah.
I think may people have more grace. May people have more grace for people who are on big platforms. Doesn't mean that we don't take responsibility for the things that we do, but may we have more grace. It's just that we are living in a different age. I was telling somebody that Justin Bieber did not ask to be anybody's role model, by the way. He was just doing music. He just enjoys to do
Mm.
music, okay? He's not here trying to be
Yeah.
a stellar model of anything, okay? So he didn't ask to be a deacon. He didn't ask to be an elder of a church. But unfortunately, or fortunately, because of the mere fact that millions of people follow him, he's already a leader in the
Yeah.
church. Okay, so it unfortunately puts him in a place where, I didn't sign up for this, but now I have to act this way and do this way because people have seen me a certain way. It's a very binding place. Or Cindy shouldn't sing certain music because she's this way. I mean, people have faced backlash for that. I mean, Akina Lacrae, Kina Kendrick Lamar, Kenyans here. I mean, we have many people who have walked in and out of quote unquote the gospel industry, even though I have issues with those words. But
Mm.
everybody's human. It's just that now mine is it's like mine is on a reality TV. But it's not less
Yeah.
dramatic. There's things that are going, but to have more grace for somebody's process. Yeah, so yeah, I wish we were more gracious to each other, especially on this internet platforms. We are really policing each other. We're telling people, oh, because they didn't post BLM, that means you don't support us. We see you, don't
Wow.
support us. It's their page. They can do whatever they
Yeah, they
want with
can do.
it.
Yeah.
We are so mean nowadays. So to be nicer, honestly, yeah.
Yeah. And I know, like in Kenya, there was the issue with the lady who I think she died. There was a hashtag going on, and
Yeah.
rape culture and all that. And of course, now there is, of course, climate change. There is, of course, the pandemic. So, where do you think creatives and music falls in this space of speaking against issues around the world, whether it's uh, either violence and things like rape and war and all that spaces? Where is the place of music, or should just musician? Of course, you can't police people to sing a particular thing, but or should just musicians sing nice things to make us forget about our trouble, or should they speak into those issues, and when and how, if they choose to?
Again, another loaded question, because I think it's the responsibility of musicians to represent their times, but also at the same time to transport us to another universe where we don't have problems. So that's why club music does so well. You know what? Even when the world is falling apart,
People want to dance.
and they're singing boom boom ba boom 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 ba. It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
Because for a split second, I don't have to think about rape culture and what being a woman is today and the struggles and my job and the pandemic. But also at the same time, it will be ignorant of us not to address things when they need to be caught, especially where we are in a season where, and a time where my voice will be heard, even if it's by a few, it'll be heard. So for
mm,
sure, yeah, when we are talking about rape apologists, this is a huge issue. I mean, we are seeing Akina Shafi Weru there and Homeboys still encouraging. These are people on live platforms, and that's why I'm even saying it right here. Is because that's you are actually a rape apologist. Why is the woman to blame here in this situation instead of the man? I mean, that was so vulgar, and yet they're saying it openly. So if they're so open about violence against women, why shouldn't we be about the issue with that? And how the role that also media plays in influencing the culture, even though it is representing the culture. There's also that
yeah,
role. You have to also accept the fact that you are a leader in that sense. So you have responsibility. You can't just be loose and nonchalant with your statements. You have a responsibility to get things right. So yeah, when we are seeing We are there justice for Velvin. These things is not particularly only about Velvin's situation. It's because every time a woman hears something to do with sexual violence, even myself, I have experienced it. Okay, it just triggers what
Yeah.
I myself have already experienced. And
Experience. Yeah.
for us, it's to me, I was asking myself, how do I know multiple women in my close circle, live alone far away, who've experienced sexual molestation, sexual harassment, and all these things? And I don't even know one guy friend of mine who tells me he knows a rapist. I mean, that math does not make sense. I don't know what you guys talk about. I don't know what you guys don't talk. I don't know. I'm usually like, I will see you. I don't get it. So it almost, and then people make it sound like you're a broken record, oh, women and their complaints and things like this. But we are past that time now. We are past that time of gaslighting and making people's issues seem like we are past that season of gaslighting and making issues seem like they're small. It's about time people were called out. And that's what I love about this season, where we're calling out the Jeffrey Epsteins, where we're calling out people who have been, unfortunately, like in the Ravi Zacharias in the church. We are not about keeping mum, you know? Like,
Mm.
let's be straight about things. Let's address them as they are. Because then now that's when the society will progress. We stop jokes. Yeah.
But a question for you. I don't know. I hope it's not a wrong question or a weird. Because okay, let's specifically let's say think of Kenyan music. There is the gengeton, which is still a genre. I don't know. It could be just part
No, it
of
is. It
course,
is.
Kenyan urban. But also the music itself there, it's a bit sexualized, for lack of a better word. And then there is lack of education in that space where that this could just be music in terms of whether whatever they're speaking, that it's music, but also the aspect of education. I don't know, for lack of a better word, for people to know the power that music carries in terms of, because everything in the world revolves, I would say everything has music in it, whether it's in a concert, whether it's an advert, in churches, in any space, anywhere across the globe, music is a universal language. Uh, but how do you, I don't know, inform? For me, because I work with teenagers more, is just saying there is power in the music or whatever we expose ourselves to listen to, that sometimes it can go to our soul and becomes what we live. I don't know
Yeah.
if you could speak
Just
into
give me a
that in
sec.
terms of this. Yeah.
Sorry. We need a charger. Uh-huh. You're saying
Mm.
there's power in.
In in the terms of even for musicians themselves to know there is power in music, even in as much as you can do club bangers, songs that people just want to dance to, but also it carries a message where it's feeding into the society is feeding into the music like media does.
Yeah.
The content in Genge does. Let me see some people. There was, hey, Hopefula, are you there? Chebi, Sharon, oh, Splendor, hi. As we wait for Cindy, Terceros here, Maxi, can see you. Cindy, you are lost. So I guess for those listening, I'm sure some of you know Vereso. If you want her music, you can go to our Instagram page as we wait. And again, thanks for joining. I see Irush Gina's there. Let me try and add Cindy again and see.
Hey,
Ulikuwa
Instagram keep.
umepotea kidogo.
Nimerudi.
Mm. Okay, you're still hanging a bit.
Um, I think now it's okay.
Are you there? You can hear me now?
What is going on?
Yeah, I think maybe it's your network
I hope
because,
it's back now.
yeah, I can see you. Dos, I see you, Juliani namwona hapo, mzee mzito hapo. Either it's your internet or that is delaying. Yeah, talking to Vereso. If you want her music, just go on her Instagram page, Vereso Music, YouTube, Vereso Music. As I think she's still hanging here. I'll just wait for. Let me add. I look for. Is it your internet or mine? No, I don't think it's could be mine.
I think it's mine, Pole.
Mm. Mat, saisi habari yako?
Okay, I think it's back now.
Yes. Now, I think you're still not yet there. Let me text. Hello.
I don't know if it's back. Oh,
You're back. Hi, Matt. Where are you in the world? Are you in Kenya or somewhere? I saw you are in Europe somewhere. Cindy is hanging here. Let me text and. Yes. Hello. I think we'll end with Cindy. Hmm. Matt, how are you? Thank you, Matt. Let me see if I can still add Cindy again. Hello.
hi. I hope bad imerudi sasa. Sorry.
Yes, I was wondering. Yeah, umerudi.
Yeah, this internet. One moment it's on your side, and then the next moment it's like, by the way, sorry, we don't care. We don't care what you're
Mm,
doing.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, I was asking.
Oh,
You can hear me
froze
now?
again.
Kasha, I can see you. Mtisia, niaje? You can hear me now? Vereso? can hear me? I think whereas Cindy's network is not very good. Yeah, let me try and add. Thanks guys for watching. Mtune, habari yako? Peter, supposed to be there with Vanessa, but see if we can. Hey, niaje Maxi? Good to see you. We should do a live with you soon, Johnny, as we wait for Cindy. I don't know if we'll be inviting them. Poa sana Mtune, si tuko tu kwa tukipiga story hapa na Cindy, but it seems data yake iko poa sana. See if we can find out before we finish. Hello? Are you using your data or Wi-Fi?
Oscillating between both. I don't even know if
Oh,
you can hear me.
no, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
And see me though. I can't even see myself.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can see you.
Okay, yeah. Sawa.
Hmm.
Okay. We, yani, yeah. I need to
Yeah, it
find other
happens.
internet
Oh,
sources. Pole sana. Well, that was tried all.
naje Maxi, jina nika Cindy atapata.
Pole.
Will you get you now? Yeah?
Wow. Sijai struggle kama leo.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Because I was just
Hmm.
like, did it end? And then you started again?
Yeah, so I just ended maybe to see if maybe we can restart it. Jeremy,
Oh, thanks.
niaje? Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what I'd ask you in terms of what's the responsibility of a musician in terms of knowing the power, Johnny, the power of music in terms because what a musician does sometimes influences the people, whether young or old, or because where's the balance also as a musician? Of course, you've not chosen to be people's, I would say, role model, but you
Yes.
hang the
Yeah.
so those two. Where do you think
And that's
the
a
responsibility of a musician lies, and where does it stop?
I think I am biased because for me, I've already chosen a path, which is to express the fullness of Christ. So already my moral standards are based on
On
God.
that?
Yeah. But for those who are not, it's very hard for me to ask them because they don't have that compass. So who am I to point at their artistry?
Mm.
Based on my moral standings, who am I to? But it's as you're saying, it's a tricky place because for me, first of all, maybe I don't listen to Gengetone because I don't even hear what they say. They speak so fast. It's such deep shame. I'm like, what? The words
So
can't just go like this.
you can't hear Sheng Yani and Gengiton, Akina, what's the other the new group, the
I
Kanairo,
listen. I listen to
Madocho.
Matata. Matata, the guys who are in Norway, at least them I
No
can
way.
hear what they're saying. The other gengeton, okay, me there are two music genres that are so hard for me: reggae,
Niaje Juliani.
gengeton, and hip hop. In hip hop, I just the ones just come and just go like this. I'm like, eh. So I don't even know exactly what content, but from what I hear people say, the content is very sexual. Me, I have no issue with people being sexual because not based on my moral standards, that's theirs. But now where the issue now I think starts crossing the line is now when you're talking about consent. If everyone is a consensual process in terms of things to do with sex and things like that, then go ahead. If both the woman and the man wanted that grinding and bumping, do you boo bookings? But now, when we start crossing over to the other side where it's very, predatory, now that's a problem. But also, as I'm saying, this is based on my moral standards. So it's very tricky. Who am I to
Mhm.
tell you if, listening to Cardi B is a thing or not? Or if you listen to Gengetoni is a thing or not? I mean, me, I was those holy Joe kids, Mark, and you know it. Me, I was just like, yes, Jesus Christ tells us to do this. So we follow Jesus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tricky balance because I think as I said, I think we have responsibility. We cannot absolve ourselves of that and say, oh, we're only expressing what society already is. Yes, you are, but now because you have the influence, I think it goes back to what someone's true purpose, like what's your true intention on this art, sorry. And I think artists have to ask themselves that question, especially when you reach the place where you have a say and influence.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, so where are you now, musically in terms of your creative process? With the situation with pandemic and all that, what are musicians doing in Kenya, and what are they hoping that things happen? Because I remember last year when there was lockdown, I guess across the world, people went on live performance on live from Sauti Sol, Giuliani, Akina Yashinsky. Everyone went in that space, but I think at one point people stopped a bit, and because the country was opening up, do you think people will go back to that now?
I think that's the problem with the pandemic is that people don't know. So I think one thing for certain is that the digital world and the digital space is growing for whatever content it is, whether it's you're a musician or they're just a content creator on YouTube, whether it's fashion, whether it's whatever. I mean, everything is going digital. So in that sense, that's a place you need to invest in, whether you like it or not, if you're to look at this, from a business perspective. So yeah, content creation, because now you being the brand is a thing that's selling. You have to sell yourself online. So I think that's where everything is going. In terms of, live gigs and things like those, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about it because it sounds like it's a good idea. No, why internet? Why
Okay.
internet?
No, no, we can hear you. I think you're still there. Kare is there.
Okay, in terms of like live gigs, I think it's tricky because the thing is, as for me, I've had to cancel my gig because of this third wave, which is sucks. I would lie. It was such a hard decision because it's not just about this gig. For me, I've already waited for a year. And what I love about the musical process is not the songwriting. I don't enjoy songwriting. I'm not like, wow, I songwrite. No, I don't care for that side. I don't care for the studio side. I don't care for all those other processes, but live performances, Mark, I live for that moment.
For those.
That's my thing. That's what I'm good at. And so not being able to express that, honestly, Mark, sucks. Oh, I am dying inside as a creative because to me that's my outlet. When I look at you, when I see you face to face, when we are connecting in that moment, when you understand what I'm saying, and when I understand what you're saying, and we're exchanging energies, and when things have to change, and I'm talking to the band, to me, I live for the air of that moment. So not having that is so stifling for somebody who is, for me, I'll tell myself as a performing artist. I perform. all those back end things, I only do them so that I get to performing, not because
Oh,
I love
yeah.
those back end things. Yeah, I don't enjoy the studio. Some people, however, it depends for different, because there's some people who don't really like to perform. They love the studio part of it, the privacy, the just writing, and so they've
Mm,
enjoyed the quiet and the yeah of this whole pandemic. So yeah, for me, that's where I'm at. And something that musicians won't tell you is like you wake up every day and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? I could do something else. Why? But it haunts you because you know this is your thing. And so, what I love about artists or creatives in Africa, the systems are not together, things are not in that place. But if there are
yeah.
people who are optimistic are artists because they still do it.
Do it.
They still strive to do it, to express themselves. That should tell people how deeply in love you are with something, when ideally it's not giving you back, quote unquote, great financial gains or all these other things, but people love it because we understand how essential it is. Because it's very hard to quantify. People are like, yeah, so, but ask yourselves during this whole pandemic, what have people been doing? Entertaining themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
people have been on Netflix, people have been on Showmax, you're on TV, you're listening to music more, people's screen time has gone up times 1,000. I mean, all these things. And then we are saying entertainment is not essential, it's not an essential service. It is an essential service. There is that need to have somebody express what you're expressing. I mean, now that people can't go for football games live, it's just killing people.
Yeah.
you know
But because it's interesting when you talk of essential services, because even here in New Zealand, and I think across the globe, they never looked at artist and creative in whatever space as essential services. Yet it was the most consumed form of service, I would say, both musically, movies and all that. So yet that was never even considered. Yet it was, I would say, for most people, the only survival thing, listening to music or watching a movie just to keep the days going, which, yeah, it's quite interesting that no government is even, I don't think even here in New Zealand, I think they did, but they didn't pump as much money in that sector. Yet it's the sector that is keeping people, even just helping people with mental health and surviving this crazy time. So
Mm,
it's interesting what
yeah.
we consume most, we don't invest in most.
Yeah, I think because you're not able to quote unquote quantify as easily because it's more of a qualitative data, it's very hard to prove to people why it's necessary and what money is needed in it. But I think, as you're saying, it's obvious and yet clearly not obvious to the people who make the big decisions.
Mhm.
So I hope though over time that will change, because hey man, I know I would not have survived this pandemic if I didn't have TV to watch or things to listen to or podcasts to listen to. So yani it's it's what we live
Mhm.
for. Yeah, so you're very right there. Yeah.
A question, I don't know how we want to answer this. What's been the lowest point for you as a musician or a creative?
Um, I'll not say like the lowest point, but I nowadays there are words for these things. So they say you're an empath. Ha ha ha. I don't even know what that really means.
Oh, yeah, I
But
had it somewhere.
but
I think I
anyway,
had it from Maloney, drama queen somewhere. She was
yeah.
being interviewed.
But
I'm not sure.
anyway, yeah, I think a lot of us are that way anyway. We're just now giving language to some of the things we already are. And it wasn't a low moment, but a strange moment. So as I said, me, I'm all about energies and about those things. I don't like to say that word because everyone uses it, so I can be like called that energy person. But I remember those. You see, you're telling me those slow motion moments. I was at a blankets and wine and I was performing. I think it was the first one I went for, and it was a great gig. But in the middle of it, I could feel despair. I have no other word for it, but sadness, like heavy, like it's almost quantifiable. And what was so funny, Mark, is everyone was happy, like smiling. We had drinks, people had drinks in their hands, and like the band was amazing, and I was singing out, but like there was a split second where it's like I was removed from it. It's like, you know, the way in movies, like the music movie is like colors and then suddenly it's black and white and skeletons. It's like felt
Mm.
like that kind of like a scene. And it was so dark and heavy. And I remember finding it so strange that everyone is so outwardly happy, but I could physically feel despair. Mark, my sister asked me, now one of my sisters, after she was like, "Oh my God, it was so amazing." And you know, it was my first blankets and wine. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, this is so great. You're not gonna become Beyonce." You know, I mean, like that's where you're headed. You know, that's the idea. It's like so cool. And then she asked me, "So how was it?" Mark, I cried. My whole family was so confused. They were like, was it good? We are confused. Is this tears of joy? But I remember feeling so sad that people are so sad. I think that was one of the heaviest moments I've ever literally, like, I felt it was tangible. It happened again at Rift Valley Festival. That one was a bit strange. I was happy, I was okay. I was walking, looking at Sarabi, and they were amazing. But now it was me, Lavina, and Stacy. Now the thing is, I and Lavina think we were at the gig and we were having a great time at the front. But Stacy tells me and Lavina that apparently we were so sleepy, we were at the front just like this. We were so tired.
Mm.
In our minds, we were like, woo, woo, but our bodies were. So anyway, so she comes and pulls us aside and says, "Okay, guys, I think you need to go to bed," because we were volunteered, we were exhausted. So she comes and pulls us aside and tells us, "Okay, now let's go to. I think it's time." Because like she was like, "Our mom, I think it's time you go and sleep." And so we're headed there, and this weird thing happened. Like I was just walking to the tent, and I started wailing. Yeah, like I've been bereaved. So they are shocked. They're like, "Are you hurt? What's going on?" And I told them, "Everybody's just so sad." So my friends are confused. And then what's so funny is because in that moment, ideally, it was a joyous moment. It was a moment where people were talking about peace, love, unity, let's all be together. People were dancing, it was happy, but I could feel such heavy sadness. And I was just like, there's something wrong with me, you guys. But anyway, aside from that, I think now to Jesusify it, because I like to say that, is I think there are moments, and this is the power of creatives, that I like to say a lot of us are prophetic in that sense that we're able to look beyond the now. And that's the
Mhm.
beauty. We're able to see beyond the expression. That's why when Mark writes, people resonate with what you say because they're like, wow, he's so beyond the face value of things. And so in that moment, it's like I got a glimpse of God's heart in that moment. And it was such sadness that we literally go out of our way to pretend to be okay. I'd rather drink and dance and jump and all those things than deal with my problems. I'd rather, I'd rather go to church and say, break every chain than go for therapy. Because we are not, we are not, I don't know. There's something about the human nature that is in such denial about certain aspects of ourselves. And ideally, music should propel us to now go deal with those issues, but we think that it's going to solve everything. So people are like, music for me is my thing. I'm like, it cannot be. It's insufficient. It's insufficient even for us as a musician. Like for me, when people ask me, soon you was a stress reliever, it's not music. When I'm stressed, I don't think, oh, let me go and write songs. I don't. I am so
Of course,
stressed.
yeah.
I cannot write. That is now when I have mind block. I'm not processing, but I wish that people will take this opportunity to like now go and deal with their own things and stuff like that. So yeah, there are those
Mm.
two. Like for me, especially as somebody who's been a worship leader, I see us as going to church, and I have participated in that system. We are like, put your hands up there, lift it up to God. It's a season of healing. But what we don't talk about is what some healing is instantaneous. Okay, there's that miraculous healing for like, you are healed, and then you wake up and wake up and go. But we don't talk about the healing that requires years, months, weeks of therapy of unlocking the issues that you've struggled with at home, from your father, from your mom, from your childhood experiences. We don't talk about that version. We don't talk about the healing that will require you to actually be on medication. You actually will possibly need to be on antidepressants to kind of get you there. We don't talk about that, but we think if Cindy sings it loud enough and with enough power, it'll change. But we need to talk about the after, and I wish people would. And I think for me, that's what sometimes brings me a bit of sadness. Yeah, that we're a bit
Mm.
light about things that are super heavy. And for me, that's why I say we have a responsibility as people who are in whatever artistic expression. Yeah, so anyway, so that's a key moment too.
Yeah, I think I'll say that I think for me, now that I live in New Zealand, and of course I'm looking
Yeah.
at Kenya from outside in, but still being a Kenyan. Yeah, I was telling someone, I think the other day, that I think for Africa, generally, all of Africa, if you live and you experience Africa, all of us need to go for therapy. Kila mtu, inaitwa, come here, sit down, we are all going through therapy, because even looking at my life, I'm like, how could I just go through that and feel that was normal? And I'm like, no, it shouldn't have been. Or
So
just assume
umeanza,
like,
as you're telling us all of Africa needs to go, umeenda. Have you gone?
no, bado nitaanza kwenda very soon. Yeah, but I'm aware, I think now looking back, I'm like, hey, because what people term to be normal and everything. But you're saying also we are scared of darkness and ghost and what might, and I guess as people like me, I'm like, what will I find out when I start? Am I ready? And I guess that's, yeah. Dos is saying we are ninjas. And ukweli, yani and so of course whether music helps us, but sometimes I think for an African, or maybe when you live in a place of pain for too long, you're like, should I open the vulnerability? Because nikifungua, there are no healing situation or places for, like you're saying, some issues might take forever until we die, or months or years, and I don't think we are patient with ourselves to go through that space.
Yeah.
So maybe not, yeah, a few last questions.
Sorry, before you ask the next one, even as Dot has said we are ninjas, it's reminded me of how maybe it can answer one of the question you had asked me earlier. Maybe that's the reason we have so much to express. We've gone through it, and we're still going through it. We are going through so much, and the only way for a slight moment of relief is artistic expression. So I remember somebody saying some of the saddest people are some of the greatest comedians, because they're able to turn that sadness that they experience into jokes.
Mm. And
So in that, yeah, to make it like, you're like, now am I going to cry about it? I'm not going to make it fun. And I think that's why Kenyans are so funny. There are some things that are so bad. If you start to cry, will we cry forever? Just you laugh.
yeah.
You know what?
Mm.
Let's just make memes about our president and our, because if we start to cry, we will never stop crying about the many issues. So in a weird way, that's the idea of, I guess, struggle of being black, of being in Africa, of having experienced all our history, of figuring out our identity today, of religion coupled with generational issues, of just navigating being present in 2021. Kind of in a weird way is what is the genesis of, I guess, our extra expression, because we have so much to say. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think even for me, I've been in New Zealand now going to 5 years, but I think what an average young person, let's say teenager, goes through, if you live in Kenya, any country in Africa, I would say, is quite different compared to what here. Because, yeah, some of the systems are working. Schools, they're not perfect, but they're there. The system in terms of no one is sleeping hungry or anything, because, of course, it's a developed country. So I'm like, no wonder a normal teenager in Kenya, and most if you live in Nairobi, you need more expression of art, whether it's and just something in that regard. I'm like, could be the
Yeah, for
reason
sure.
why
Yeah.
we. Mm,
Yeah, I think
yeah. Mhm. Sorry, you're saying something? Umehang kidogo. This is in 2021.
yeah, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you now.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Mark. I think because, I mean, had the band couldn't have written Uliza Kiatu unless you had passed through what they had passed through. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
you just cannot get it. You know,
Mm,
they've been through a lot, and
mhm.
sorry, they still are going through a lot. Um, hey, all my equipment is just like dying now.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
So just.
yeah, so they've gone through a lot, and there's no way any teenager in New Zealand could have written Uliza Kiatu because they've
No,
not
no.
walked without shoes. So,
It was like, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, they've not come from a poor background. So I don't know. In a weird way,
Mm,
there's the advantage of quote unquote some of these struggles is what's born out of it is hope. Yeah.
yeah, hope.
So, but also I feel like I wish that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't have to go through struggle to be creative, um, because I feel like there's a lot that New Zealand could possibly say. I just feel like maybe many people have not yet found their voice or their language or the courage to express exactly what's going on. Because there are dramas that are
Mm,
going on. I mean, if it's to do, there's a saying mental health issues, that's an issue that's going on around. Whether your life is perfect or whether it's not, it just seems to be something that's
it,
there no matter what. So I wish they'll
yeah.
find language to express that, or even express comedy. I think for me, one of the YouTubers I love is How to Dad. He just makes me happy because he's just doing
Mm.
silly things, you know.
And it's simple things.
See,
Things.
it's just
Mm.
simple things that is so funny. Also seeing what's her name? Paris. I think she's the choreographer of this international dancers, and just seeing her being able to build a whole dance company from scratch, being the one who's choreographing songs, by superstars, just shows that wow, New Zealand actually has a lot to give, and
It's
yeah.
so, yeah. I keep telling teenagers and pushing them to go into that creative space. So hopefully they'll be able to.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. All
they'll
right.
find the courage to. But I think they're born in a tough time also, because you see, us we are born. For me, how I remember YouTube was that place where I mean, cause lately now because of the pandemic, you watch YouTube until you almost reach the end of YouTube. Like you're being suggested to videos for like 12 years back. Those videos were so simple. It was somebody their phone, bad quality, showing small short things that make no sense. So we understand the fact that content doesn't have to be perfect. For them, they're born in a world where people have a camera so that I can vlog. I have this, I have this, I have that, I have that. It's my job
Mm.
to be a YouTuber. It's actually now a job. So now they don't look at content creation per se the way we do, because for us it's just,
Mm.
you have a camera, you are a content creator. That's it.
You'll figure
As
everything as you go by.
you just figure it as you go. You don't need to be perfect. You just you know but for them it's like, this is a job, you have a camera, you have this, I'm a gamer, this is it, like it's so I think maybe their expectation of when you start content creating is already so high. You have to have all
Oh,
these
yeah.
ideas for your TikTok videos, you have to have a schedule for all your content creation, and then also there's also, I mean, cyberbullying. So for them it's not as lightly as we take it for, like, I don't care how many likes or no likes I get. For them it's something heavy. So I don't know. I just wonder what the research about the effects of social media in these spaces will have on kids today, on their
Yeah.
engagement versus their non-engagement. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Because because one of the sad thing, I wouldn't say sad, is when you live in New Zealand or the Western world, you find African music just, and I'm using Africa in general, has not reached the West in as much
Mm.
as if you may, some people in Africa would think African music has reached here, which is very like the only East African song I've heard in one of the gym played here is by Diamond. It was Diamond featuring a musician from Congo
Mm.
and maybe
That Kofi
Davido.
Olomide and
No, not that one.
and
The previous
uh,
one. There was one with a
Tetema
remix.
or something. I don't know.
No, just one of his songs. And the other person might be Davido, maybe, and Wizkid. Even Burna Boy, who's won a Grammy the other day. And I've been in different spaces, but so that's for me, it's quite interesting that music as African music has not penetrated the world that much, but which at least I would say it's doing better than it was 10, 20 years
Yeah, we
ago.
have a long way to go. I mean, I don't even blame New Zealand. I mean, America is just awakening, possibly, and only certain parts of America are awakening to African music. The places that I think have been most open outside to African music has been Europe. France has
Completely.
loved black music for years. The francophone countries are just with it. Okay. Yeah, and all these other nations, England, London is full of West Africans, so the music scene is lit, but I mean, we are getting there slowly by slowly. I think, yeah, that's the beauty of the internet. Now, I think all it just takes is just to Google, and then
You'll find. Yeah.
you'll
So,
find it.
we can
Yeah,
talk and talk. So, yeah, just
whatever.
quick questions as we finish. Then I guess also for people who are watching and will watch, because I'll post it on my Instagram, maybe you'll tell us where to find your music. Hopefully,
Okay.
I think also where people can buy it. Hopefully, there is are you on one of those platforms?
Um, for sure, you can get my music anywhere, and now that is take it international. So on Apple Music, on iTunes, on Spotify, on Deezer, on Google Play, it should be there. Vereso, Vereso. As well, if you want to buy it, you can find it on Bandcamp. So vereso.bandcamp. And as well as here in Kenya, if you want to buy it, you can find it on mokh.com. So MOOKH on M-Pesa. So yeah, that's how you can
Mm,
find, yeah,
yeah,
me. And there's like a new song that will be coming up later in the year. So
yeah,
excited.
yeah. And those who have not followed Vereso, please follow her. Vereso Music. Yeah, that's your Instagram.
Yeah. And also tell people to follow you on YouTube. You see, Remarkable Correro started a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So,
When I was starting my YouTube channel, someone asked, talking to someone is
mm,
like, "Oh, you've started your YouTube channel," and he said, "Are you ready to do 100 videos without having many views?" And he said,
yeah.
"If you're not ready to do that, don't start." He was
Whoa.
just saying, look at it as a long-term creative process and just stick in that place for a minute. Oh, Cindy, you're hanging, and okay, just I'll ask Cindy when she comes back. Hopefully, the internet comes. Are you there?
Yeah, I think my devices are just like, bye guys, you've talked for so long.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So, quick question:
Yeah.
what's your favorite smell or scent?
Hey. Okay, sometimes you know that smell just before it rains. Okay, no, when it's just rained and it's that
The
one.
dust, vumbi.
Yeah, but it's not my favorite, but I really love that smell. Um, and then the smell of a guy you like. Yani, when you're just in love, Yani, he just smells like heaven. Anything, it smells
So,
like his sweat, his shirt, his just morning smell, everything that smells great. So I guess those two.
so you just need a boyfriend.
Yeah, and then you get your favorite smell.
That you find, yeah. So I tell people one of the things I miss about Africa or Kenya is that smell after it rains. You know
I,
the way it
when you
rains.
guys
Then
don't have soil and rain.
no, it's not the same.
Eh, oh,
Because here
that's
there is
yani.
tarmac everywhere. There is even you can go months or years without even brushing your shoes or cleaning them. So
Oh, so our
okay,
dust here actually is good.
it's good. What's your favorite word?
Limerence currently. I love the word limerence. It just sounds
Okay,
nice.
and for people like us, hiyo ni nini?
Well, it's a word that how do I explain? It's like when you think you're in love, but really you're not in love. And I don't mean infatuation. It's an
Oh, love.
illusion of that you probably are. But we'll discuss this post this. I will send you that stuff because it was such an awakening moment for me. But yeah, yeah. But it's those things to do with definitions of love versus not love, and is it slightly, is it not? Are you particularly,
Oh,
thinking to correct? But yeah. I like
your
limerence,
least.
and then the other one I like is
Mm.
sanctimonious. Sanctimonious and limerence are my favorite words.
Oh, okay. Your least favorite word.
Poo poo. I really hate that word. I don't even know it's a word, but to me it's so disgusting. I don't even know why people like to utter it, especially now here in Kenya, because now everybody's getting babies, and Damaris has a puppy. So mom always says, "Did Zara poo poo?" I just feel disgusting every time she just says it. It just yuck. And then I know you now, you guys are gonna start saying those things, and I'm like, ugh.
Mhm.
And as I say, it just sounds yuck.
Pole. We will tell Dama and people around you not to use it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Uh, what sound do you like the most, or what sound don't you like at all? Your least most sound that if you hear you is happy. It could be a snare, it could be a kick, it could be
As a musician, I like many sounds, so that one's hard. I don't think I have a least favorite sound. Um,
mm,
uh, Favorite currently, I don't know if you know that weird bird that makes a very eerie, strange sound in the middle of the night. Doesn't it sound like
mm,
that weird one? I hear it so clearly every night nowadays because I work. I'm a nocturnal person, so I'm like, I just love that sound. It sounds so spooky and yet beautiful. I love it. Yeah, it's my current, but I mean, what a
mm.
favorite. Yeah,
All right. What makes you sad?
so many things.
It could be something that either you think of the state of the world and you're sad, or what makes you sad, what makes you happy.
um, I don't know. I think it depends. I even cry over commercials, but alone because I pretend like I'm so strong. But like, I mean, there's some commercials that are just so cute, and you're like, oh. But lately, the thing that saddens me is the fact I don't know why I came to this realization, and it's not a cute one, but that I'll never be
Mhm.
safe on this earth ever. I'll never feel safe, rather.
What do
And
you
I was
mean?
so shocked by that, just by the fact that I'm a woman, that I will
Oh,
never, even one day, wake up and be safe. Ever. And I was just like, well, I'll be damned. That sucks. I'll never walk outside Mark even one day in the middle of the night and feel great unless I'm with a guy or I'm with other people. That I'll never be in another country and feel safer just by being me. And I'm like, I'm still conceptualizing it because I'm still in the anger phase for like everybody's crap. I don't know why I exist on this earth in that existential crisis version of things, but that has been capturing me of late. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like for me, growing up where I grew up and being in Kenya, Liberia, Rwanda, blah blah, which is sad to hear that also in the sense that I've never lived life feeling unsafe, if that makes sense. I've had unsafe moments and things where I felt, yeah, I'm safe and I'm unsafe, but maybe in those moments it was justified to feel that way. That even I live in New Zealand, of course, there's a bit of racism here and there, but I've never felt extremely unsafe. Even
Yeah.
here, yet I'm a black dude, but even I can walk at night and
Mm.
I've never, and
Like I was
yet
just,
even for,
I'm kind of jealous of you guys because I'm like, I don't know what that feels like. I try to conceptualize it, and then I'm like, guy, CJ, and I feel like I'm so jealous.
yeah, so that's why I'm like saying it's sorry to hear that even for me, where I live in a foreign country, I'm not living in that because I guess I'm just a dude and I'm like, if something happens, I'll run away and natoka mbio. Yeah, but also
Yeah.
the reality for a woman is different. That even for me, uh, that I feel more safe even at night walking, though I'm black, than my Sally, who's a lady would, yet she's cute.
Mm.
It's just it's an it's a weird
It's
one.
literally mind blowing. Yeah, but anyway, if you go down that path, I mean, it's honestly a path of despair. It's not, there's no cute ending to this. There's no, oh, one day. I mean, the only time I'll probably feel safe is in my grave. So,
But
just,
I'm
it
sure
is what it is.
there'll be some safe moments, rather, may not be prolonged, but just in places where people could feel safe, especially women. And
I think for me, it's that my safety is based on other people. So I'll feel safe if I'm walking with my boyfriend, if I'm with my guy friends, if I'm with you guys. I'll feel safe if I'm with my father. I'll feel safe when I'm with a group of girlfriends. I'll feel safe only if it's in relation to others being, but I'll never be safe entirely by just being me. And even if I am, it's a step of courage. So I'm still not as safe because I'm like, I never know what that feels like. And I was just like, hi, yeah, not even one day, not even once. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, yeah, because yeah, that's
yeah, it sucks. Yeah.
yeah. So
Anyway.
yeah, it was any parting shot, any last words? Dos nonapa dos nasema, how can we support you or something?
Oh, to support women.
You know, just as a musician, not
Oh, to
to,
support me as a musician. I think, yeah, pay for the gigs when we ask you guys to come for it and um, to listen to Kenyan content. Yeah, I think
mm,
as a nation, we are still getting there. We are better than we were before, but we created some self-loathing there where every other person's artistry is better than our own. And we need to get that out of us because we are very good. We are so gifted, you guys. As in, we are so gifted. We have no idea. So that imposter syndrome of the nation, I don't know where it comes from. You know what? That Kikuyu music is amazing. You know, yeah, those
I listen
Kigosho
to
songs.
Kikuyu now.
Yeah, those Kigosho songs, yani, are heaven. Those Ohangala things are great. These things are Kina Daudi Kabaka, Kina Fadhili Williams, those are our classics. So I pray and I think that we're already in that space where Africa is coming to appreciate ourselves. For sure, why am I following other bloggers when Doss is here? He is he's the most traveled. Him and Waboy are most traveled. Boy, I know. And I know
In the
them. And
yeah,
man, it's
I
so
think
cool.
even for them being the first couple to African couple to travel the world,
Yeah.
not first in Africa. I was like, what? And even for them being the first Kenyans to go on Antarctica. Have I pronounced it well? Yeah,
Yeah.
much
As in,
just them, the two.
So I feel like, yeah, so I think we always look to others like they're the best, but we are really the shit. We really are great. We are amazing. And yeah, I pray that we'll come to that realization for
Yeah. So
ourselves. And
any
mm,
words to a young creative musician, YouTuber, someone just starting up or wants to start something?
a part of me wants to give them the lowdown of the reality, but the reality is obvious. But it's not just here in Kenya; it's the reality for the industry everywhere. So yeah, no, it's not gonna. You're not going to be discovered by a random person and somebody you're going to just boom into fame. Or you may be. But either way, do this for yourself and constantly do it for yourself. Do this because of the love of creation. So that no
Mm,
matter the circumstances of whether you're getting money, whether you're not, and all those things, at least that one is, the thing that keeps on going, the thing that keeps you consistent. So yeah, for
mm,
sure. Keep the faith, keep the nini going. We are fighting hard to correct the system, and we hope that things will come into place by the time you're there. So keep it going, because you have something to say. It's important, and let nobody tell you it's not important. Let no producer tell you that your song is not gonna fit with this time. Haingi na hii beat haita. Artists have great vision. We are prophetic. We are able to see into what needs to be done into society. Go for it. Don't let anybody tell you anything. Yeah.
yeah, I think was one of the things for me that I've put myself out today is saying I can't live in a world where I'm always consuming food, consuming everything, consuming other people's art, yet I'm not creating
Mm.
for other people. So I think it just takes
Yes.
takes
Yeah.
courage and vulnerability at the same, and I think they need to coexist to keep you humble.
Mm.
I think.
Eh, for
I,
sure. Yeah.
thanks guys for those who watched and everyone. I'm supposed to be doing a live with those this coming week. I think I don't iko hapa.
Yeah.
I'll just post a picture. Yeah. Thanks, Cindy Vereso. Please follow Vereso Music, Instagram, Facebook. Yes, ndio.
Yes, and follow Correro Mark on Remarkable Correro on YouTube and here
In
Waweru Mark.
Waweru.
I don't know you. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. But anyway, thank you so much, Mark. You know me, I just love having conversations with you. They are mentally stimulating. They are great questions. I mean, wow. And yeah, thank you for being my friend. You're such a good friend. Like if
I
I've never
hope I
told you
am.
that, but like you're a very, very good friend. Yeah, yeah.
Dos
Thank
umesikia
you.
unaona dos iko hapa. Oh, Nyawera Maina nani? Oh, Moshid just joined. So anyway, thank you. We need to finish this.
Yeah, we can continue forever. You know what we'll do next time? Okay, since you open your YouTube, we'll do a podcast. I'll even show you some guys who have this podcasting. Say to Inge WhatsApp, I show you because
Oh,
this is what is needed, Mark. Because I'm like, wow, in conversation, I have like so many.
things to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some tip is entering
Yeah.
na sisi tumaliza. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
See you. Uh,